This has gotta be the biggest, baddest, and best GCC drop ever. This drop was so large, GCC had to split it into 2 waves over 1 month for us to not go completely broke. Although, it was still a massive punch to the wallet since it was loaded full of fan favorite characters. First, let's talk about the really cool replacement pieces that were released this month. Now, this is one of my favorite things that GCC does. Replacement parts to improve your minifigure collection. I touched on that briefly in my previous video when I talked about the Waxer and Boyle helmets. The 2 replacement parts that I didn't get from this drop were the Mustafar, Anakin, and Obi-Wan replacement torsos. Only because I already have my fair share of Anakin and Obi-Wan minifigures. Those torsos are meant to replace the battle damage torsos from the Mustafar duel set from almost 4 years ago? Anyways, the replacement pieces I did get were the restocked Sky Guy body, the Geonosis Padme torso, along with the Padme head, and the Rebel Friend torso. Starting with the Sky Guy body, this is meant to replicate Anakin's costume from the first 2.5 seasons of the Clone Wars, and now also his appearance from the Ahsoka show. Initially, I skipped on it because I was fine with my official LEGO remake from the 2018 Jedi Starfighter. But then I got the light custom Clone Wars Obi-Wan, and then I realized that I would absolutely need to upgrade my Clone Wars Anakin. This body is a must-get for any hardcore Clone Wars fan, and I'm sure this guy would look excellent displayed with a UCS Venator. Now the 2 replacement torsos. This Padme torso is meant to replicate her look from Attack of the Clones right before the arena scene. This can be used on either the official Geonosis Padme minifigure, or if you don't have it like me, you can pair it with GCC's Padme head and get some white legs and arms, and now you have a Padme. But for some reason, of all of the replacement pieces from this drop, my most anticipated was the Rebel Friend from the Skywalker saga. I'm a huge fan of random niche characters, aka Glup Shittos, and Rebel Friend is such a fun throwback to the OG LEGO Star Wars games that you would really only find it interesting if you have fond memories of them. GCC did something really nice where they made the torso usable with any skin tone LEGO has, which I believe LEGO did with the Yavin 4 Rebel base set earlier this year. Now, on to the full figures. We got so many great characters in this one wave, and it was almost overwhelming. First, let's talk about the clones.
Execute Order 66.
Find him. Find him. Fives. Find him! Fives!
Fives. Hey everyone, ALC here. Today I'll be reviewing for you the new GCC 5s figure. First off, this is my new favorite GCC figure of all time. This is an incredible figure. He has all official parts, which I always love to see, including the helmet. Not replicas here. Just listen to this click sound when you take off the helmet or put it on. You do not get that with replica helmets, and I love it. Speaking of the helmet, under it is an amazing printed clone face. The first one from GCC too. It has 2 expressions also, which is just so nice. It looks really good, and the eyes actually are like perfect. A lot of GCC figures on the faces, they've been like really far apart or like too big, too small and stuff. These ones are perfect. They look amazing, and I'm just really impressed with this clone head. On the torso, they fixed the design from the previous 5s figure. On the previous 5s figure, his pauldron was like really squished down for some reason. I don't really mind at the start, but now that I've seen what it looks like if it's like normal, I can say it's an improvement. The arm printing is the same as on the last 5's figure, and they both look really good. My only complaint is that they are in the 2020 style. With new UCS Rex, 2020 clone arm printing style was established, so I'd like to see that fixed here, but that's such a small nitpick, it really doesn't even matter. The only other nitpick I have on this figure is on the legs. The knee pads should be white. Again, it's such a small detail, I really don't mind it at all. This figure looks great alone, but if you throw on a Cape Cantina cloth set and a Jonak Toys pad printed ARC Trooper backpack, this figure is like nearly a 10 out of 10. The only thing it could use now is obviously those fixed inaccuracies and then like a rangefinder or something. Overall, this figure is incredible. It is my new favorite GCC clone ever, and I can't wait to see the figure when they fix it. It'll be perfect. Thanks for the segment on your video, and back to you, Urban.
What happened? What was that? What was I saying? Oh, right. GCC dropped some excellent clones this month, starting with everyone's favorite general killer, Dogma. Just like all of the previous GCC Umbara clones, Dogma has all the fancy bells and whistles, official helmet, and arm printing. I love that GCC managed to release all of the Umbara clones in just the past 4 months. Now there's just one less clone to complete the Umbara squad. Next, we have the 3 very highly anticipated commanders from this month. Now, initially I was thinking of skipping on Commander Gree because I have the official one, but I'm so glad that I didn't. This figure is just immaculate. It's always cool to get clones that aren't in the regular white armor, but Gree has an official silver helmet and gorgeous arm printing. I love this update so much, and I'm so glad I was able to pick him up. Commander Wolf is one of the minifigures I was most excited to get from GCC, but unfortunately there is one flaw that keeps me from completely loving this guy. I think the details on him are great, and the included comma is really well made, but the detail on his helmet is just not right. The pattern on the top of his helmet is supposed to resemble a wolf's ears. Instead of coming to a point, the pattern here just goes straight up to the fin. Now, this doesn't make me hate the figure at all. In fact, I think the execution of the helmet looks amazing. It's just that one flaw that detracts a bit from this guy. Still, absolutely worth picking up to have a Phase 2 Commander Wolf in my collection. To accompany Wolf, GCC also made Wolfpack Grunts. These use their replica helmets, but I really do think these grunts may be the standout of this wave. I love the helmet details, and the torso design is so simple yet recognizable to any clone fan. And as you can see, I got 2 of them. And if I get 2 GCC grunts, it means I really like them. And my most anticipated of the commanders for this drop, Phase 2 Commander Bly. Now, I'm sure most LEGO Star Wars collectors heard about that fake Z95 set rumor that was floating around. But once that was debunked, my hype for that went completely towards the announcement that Bly would be made by GCC, with an official hold helmet to use the macro binocular piece. This guy is great. The printing on the helmet is just superb, and I was so happy to see the first looks at this helmet, because I was wondering how the yellow would look. Unfortunately for me, they released him without a printed pauldron. However, they have said we could get a printed pauldron sometime in the future, which is great news for me. To accompany Bly, they made 332nd Star Corps troopers, also without a printed pauldron. And if you're wondering where I got these cloth pauldrons, I picked them up from Clone Cloth Customs, whose Rex pauldron and comma were featured on plenty of other people's channels. They will look perfect whenever GCC makes the printed pauldron versions. And finally, the figure I've been excited about for basically this entire year, CAD Bane from the Book of Boba Fett. This design is pulled straight from the Skywalker Saga DLC, and it is so well made. The fact that this minifigure has wraparound printing on the legs alone is some of the best work I've seen from GCC. They also give you the option to include a knockoff hat and breathing tubes, which I was not expecting them to include the full knockoff minifigure, which surprisingly doesn't even look that bad. Back to the Book of Boba Fett CAD Bane. The way they printed the detail to differentiate the undersuit from the jacket is so nice. And the arm printing is incredible. All those tiny details from the gauntlets really make the wrist stand out on this figure. I will say that if they included a tiny bit of detail on the back, like the seam that runs down or some wrinkles, it would have made me love the figure even more, but as is, it's still such a cool minifigure. And that's it. A massive drop full of great characters. Part of me does wish they spaced out the release of the Commanders, since Bly, Gree, and Wolf alone is almost $100. Plus, with all the other stuff from this drop, the price adds up quickly. But to even have this problem in the first place is a good thing. Being able to have access to these minifigures is a blessing, even if it does get very expensive. GCC did the same thing for their December drop. 2-part drop, both with highly desired minifigures. But I hope that this is just an end-of-year thing rather than a trend that will continue into next year. I would much rather see GCC make the best minifigures they can and release them slowly for both the customer's sake and theirs. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. Anyways, I still love these minifigures. This has definitely beat out the September wave as my favorite GCC drop. I can't wait to see what they make in the new year. The one custom I want most from them is an ARC Trooper Jesse, hopefully with a custom printed head, but we'll just have to wait and see. They constantly improve their minifigures, so I can only imagine where we'll be at the end of 2024, and that's all. Thank you so much for watching my comeback to YouTube, and I hope to continue on into 2024. Later.
This is called what?
That's just avocado toast.
This is called what?
Turkey sausage.
This is called what?
Turkey bacon.
And this is called what?
Veggie scramble.
And what is this?
Those are pickled banana peppers.
And what is this?
Berries and seeds.
And perhaps what is this?
Water.
Sunday morning, Sunday brunch, Sunday breakfast.